The father's talking about clapping cheeks. Can you relax? Like, why is that what are you doing? Why is that the first thing you would tell your son? You don't give good advice, sir. How y'all doing? It's your girl, Jane V, seejanereacts. So I'm bringing to you Married at First Sight, season 20, episode 3, and they are in Seattle. But before we even get started, listen, y'all, I have about 1,330 subscribers. I'm trying to get it to 2,000, okay? And I need your help. So what I need y'all to do is hit the subscribe button, hit the like, hit the thumbs up, leave a comment, share if you care, and let's get this party started, okay? 2,000, then 5,000, and then beyond. So I would totally appreciate your help with that. And in the meantime, I want you to go to my description, check out my hair care products, check out my other things that I have going on in the description. I have a Patreon. Definitely just go in there, look around and see what you may like, see what you're interested in, and click around, okay? So in the meantime, in between time, let's go ahead and get started. First of all, we're gonna start with, if I look down, that's because I'm reading my notes. We're going to start with Nikki and Shawn. We ended episode 2 with Nikki and Shawn. They were the professionals. They were people at high levels at their positions. They do very well. I get the feeling that they both could be type A's. Well, I'm not sure 100%, but she does HR. He is the vice president of education. And so that's what they do. So they're getting married. And when we left off, Nikki looked like, what's going on? Like she could not hide it in her face. Shawn, on the other hand, he was just elated. He looked happy. He looked elated. And, they got up there, and I'm not sure if they just edited that way to give that little tense feeling. But, they got there and they both shared, what each other was looking for, what they expected, things of that nature. Then they said their vows, and he said, "Can I give you a little kiss?" And I thought that was nice. And she said yes. And they gave each other a little peck, and that was it. Then they went off, and then she and he had a chance to talk about the things that they like. Then come to find out they nerded out together. They were both nerds, and they like similar things. And she had to let him know, I'm not a doctor of medicine, I'm a doctor of education, and things of that nature. But it seemed good. You could tell he was way more into it than she was. She was a little bit like, okay, let's see what's happening here. But that was that. And then he had a chance to speak with his uncle, and he said to his uncle, I've had in the past, I move kind of fast. And the uncle was like, well, sometimes you may have to take it slow and just kind of fall back a little bit and not be so, forward, because that could be a turnoff. He didn't say that. I said that, that could be a turnoff. And so, so he listened to him, and hopefully he's taking his advice. And then she had a chance to speak to her friends, and they were saying, so what do you think? And she's like, oh, could I have more drink? like not really answering the question, because I think she's here for the process, but I really think she was disappointed because she was talking about a tall guy. And, who don't want a tall, handsome man? You know what I'm saying? With all the things, sometimes you got to take what you take, but sometimes that height is a thing. And so she seemed like she was a little disappointed, but, she was willing to, work things out with him or whatever. So then now they're at their reception, they're partying, they were having a good time. And then it was time to throw the garter. Now she had on a short dress, so she changed her dress, and he taking off the garter with his teeth. He be doing a lot. He's doing a lot. So anyway, he takes off the garter with his teeth, and they playing pony. Come on, let's do it, riding my pony, so all that. So he takes it off. He throws the garter. He has some handsome groomsmen. Ladies, look out. Let's see who's available. So anyway, he, throws the garter. That was it. Now they are finished for the day. They are now going to their hotel room before they go to the honeymoon. And while they're in the room, she says, could you turn the heat up? And she said, well, right now it's at 69. And he was like, oh, I like that temperature. Now, Shawn, I'm going to need you to read the room. Shawn said in his opening packet that he had sex when he was 21 and then didn't have sex again until he was 29. So I don't know, from 29 to now he's 48. So, I'm sure he had sexual experiences then. But I'm just getting the fact that he's like a little thirsty. And for you to be 48 years old and to have had life experiences, I would think you would know kind of like when to chill and when to read the room and not to act thirsty. Because men, that is a surefire turn off, is to be too thirsty, especially when I've never laid eyes on you until right just now. I mean, I don't even know you, and already you're in the little sexual innuendos and things of that nature. Now he did ask for a kiss when he was doing the garter, right? Okay, so now she's in the room, she's taking off her makeup, they're getting ready for bed, and he asked for another kiss, and I was like, Shawn, you may have to be humbled a little bit because you don't seem like you're getting it, and Nikki just don't seem like she plays like that. Like, she seems like she's a loving person. She's a kind person, but she also seems like she will put you in your place. Listen, she's with HR. So you already know she's used to dealing with people all the time. So, that was their story. The feeling I'm getting is that he's going to have to learn. He's going to have to learn. He's going to have to take his time. And if he wants this thing to work, he's going to have to really tune in with her. They tune in together. She says she's going to have to set boundaries with him. And then hopefully, they can make it work from there. Okay. So now we're introduced to our seventh couple. They are Devin and Caitlin. Caitlin is a social media marketer and Devin is a professional rugby player. Okay. So they're young. They're 20. She is 28. He is 27. They're good-looking people. They're young. They're active. She is involved in a lot of things. She teaches cycling. She also is a professional makeup artist, and she is flexible. And that's something that was very important to him because as a rugby player, they travel, and he said he would want someone who could travel with him. So that would be really nice because, I guess there's a lot of temptations on the road. So it's nice to have your person with you. And they were talking about in their matchmaking session, all the things they wanted. And they really seemed to align with the things that they wanted. He has no relationship with his father. He's not really interested in having a relationship with his father because his father walked out. His mother had him at 18 years old. He has a brother, and his father left, and he's not there. And so he is not interested in having a relationship, but he does want his own family. That's what he said. He wants his own family. Now, Caitlin says she's had her share of toxic relationships, and she comes from a stable home. Her parents are together. In fact, her father is very traditional. And so he's coming from a place where he wanted the man to ask for his daughter's hand in marriage. But because we're getting married at first sight with 2-week notice, there wasn't any time for that. In fact, the father said he almost didn't come. He said 5 days ago, I was not coming to this wedding. But anyway, so they let them know that they have somebody for them. They're both very excited. And now here is the wedding day. So the wedding day is here. And his grandmother was the cutest thing. She was so cute. She was like, back in 99, I wrote a note and I said that he is going to be special and all these things. And now look at him. He's a professional rugby player. Now he's on television getting married at first sight. And so I loved her. She was so cute. And so now the wedding started. He comes down. He has a suit on. Now y'all have to explain the sunglasses. Was that just for the look, for the style? Because I never saw those sunglasses on his face, but they were on his head. And, he has the mohawk, the haircut, so he's really attractive, nice and tall. And Caitlin looked really pretty. And they both were each other's types as far as the things that they like, the people that they like. They looked like, the people that they wanted, the ideal of the people that they wanted. So when they came down the aisle, you could already see both sides was turned up. Because when he walked down the aisle, all her friends was like, all right now, hey, how you doing? That kind of thing. Because he looked really good. And then when they got down the aisle, her father stood up and was like, listen, I'm the father. I'm here. Let me make my presence known. It's just that I wasn't, necessarily feeling this whole thing. But I'm here. Everybody, I just want y'all to know I'm the dad. Okay, so we know who our father is and things of that nature. They said their vows. They said the things that they expected of each other. He asked if he could give her a kiss, and they gave each other a nice long smooch. Okay, it was a nice smooch. And that was pretty much it. And then they go off. Did they talk? Let me see. So as the wedding's going on, Caitlin's father's name is Jeff. He talks again, and he talks about how he would have been so upset if he did not actually come out to this event. And that just to show you how beautiful it was and how natural it must have felt to him, because he seemed like he was a no-nonsense kind of dad. And he was just saying that he was so glad he was there. And then Devin pulled the father aside and they had a conversation, and they seemed like they got close just from that conversation, just letting him know, it's going to be all right. I'm going to do the things I have to do to make sure this is a good union. I'm paraphrasing, but pretty much that's what was said. And the father was very happy about it. And you can tell that even though it's still a little weird to him, he was happy that it turned out the way it did. And then after they finished partying through the night, now they left for the hotel. And when they got to the hotel, you could tell that they were comfortable. You know what I mean? He was like, well, if I can get lucky tonight, I will. But if not, he would just chill. So they get in the bed. They seem to be like, laying, because, you could lay where it's separate, or you could lay where you could tell that there's some togetherness. They were kind of laying close, and I think they gave each other a smooch good night, and that was it with them. So we're back at the reception with Michelle and Cameron. So we're back at the reception with Michelle and Cameron and her brother. His name is Colin. Michelle's brother gives a toast, and he tells Cameron what she's about, as well as everyone else. And he says she loves Disney World and she likes going to the gay bars. She likes going to the gay bars with her friends. And I know about that. I have been to a drag show. They are very fun. And when I went, they had a lot of the people was from RuPaul's Drag Race, so it was a lot of fun. So that's one of the things she likes to do. He said, oh yes, I know a lot of straight girls like to do that, that kind of thing. So that was cool. And then they're winding up their night and they go to the hotel, and as they're headed to the hotel, that's when Cameron tells her he has only been in a 6-month relationship. And she was like, wait, ever? That, like, really? Like, she was kind of confused, and she couldn't really understand that, I guess, because he's almost a 40-year-old man. And so she had been in a 3-year relationship. So, she was like, well, I hope I measure up, because, that's kind of strange. Because I guess when someone tells you that, you don't know what the reasonings is. So I guess that's going to have to be, open for more discussion. But it did seem like that when they got to the hotel, they had a chance to talk some. And, she was telling him, I heard you play with Steph Curry. And she was like, that was my celebrity crush. So it was kind of cute. And he was like, well, I don't look like Steph Curry. No, he does not. But you know what? It was just a good way to break the ice. She was feeling a little more comfortable and optimistic about everything. And then that was pretty much it. They had their night, and now we're moving on. Beljalee and Mecca. That father's going to be a problem for me, y'all. Logic, his father, you wonder why there have been 2 ex-wives, or, well, the mother, I don't know if he was married to the mother, but he had a stepmother, and she's not around either, because the first thing he says is, the father's talking about clapping cheeks. Can you relax? Like, why is that what are you doing? Why is that the first thing you would tell your son? You don't give good advice, sir. You do not give good advice. You're telling your son to clap the cheeks. Now, if the girl went like this to kiss on the cheek, why would you think the next step is clapping cheeks? She didn't even kiss him on the lips. And then the son, Mecca, I don't know that he has a relationship with his father where he could check his father, like, Dad, would you chill? Like, I don't know what kind of relationship he has, but don't worry, because if the father don't check him, between Beljalee and her mama, they gonna check him, okay? So basically they were just talking about, you gonna clap the cheeks. And something else he said, what did he say? Oh, I saw you had a poke coming through. You had an erection, sir. You doing too much. And you know what? I'm gonna have to fall back, because I think I'm gonna get triggered every time he says something, because that level of like, you about to mess things up-ness about it is gonna get on my nerves. So anyway, the father is just doing too much. He's doing way too much. I need him to stay far away from their relationship. I'm gonna need you not to even be a little bit in their relationship. I'm gonna need you to mind your business. I'm gonna need you to stay at your side, and don't fool with him too much, y'all, because he sounds like he could be a problem. But that's okay, because Beljalee seems like she's real enough that even though she was being real nice that wedding, she seemed like she would be like, now look at here. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, she said, she has boundaries. She wants to be friends first, because now they're back at the hotel. And she said she wants to be friends. And he strikes me as a very respectable young man. That's what I get from him. I get a very respectable young man. We'll see, but I don't get that he's like his father. That I don't get. In fact, they were talking about the differences when they were riding to the hotel, and Beljolie told him, that her father was not in the picture. And then he said, well, my mother's not in the picture. My stepmother's not in the picture. I don't have a relationship with my grandmother. I have a brother that I'm estranged to. So you can tell there's a lot of separation, probably anxiety in his life. So, I'm sure if he really wants this to work for real, and if he really truly wants a relationship, that he's going to do what it takes and hopefully ignore that father. Child. So anyway, let's move on to our next couple, Courtney and Nick. Now, Courtney is over there asking, why has he been in so many reality shows? She said, why has he been in all these reality shows? I need to know what's going on. And so his friends was like really reassuring her. They was like, no. This is in game for him. This is what he really wants. This is not just about another TV show to be on and things of that nature. And she was really liking him. She thought he was super handsome and, all the things. But she was just really glad for that reassurance. And then she was also able to speak to her parents, and they gave her that reassurance as well. They were happy for her. They seemed to be real chill. They didn't show any, anxiety or anything with her doing this. And so you can tell she has a little insecurity, though. I can tell it, because even though she looks good and things, you could tell she's really worried about, listen, I guess everybody would be when you think about it, like, are they going to like me? Because that's something that you talking about communication. Communication has to be on the table right out the gate, because you have to make sure this person is really checking for you. This person really likes you, all the things. So yeah, so I could tell that there's a little insecurity there. But when she got to that hotel room, she took that makeup off. Hair came down. He was like, oh, your hair's long. She's like, child, these are pieces. Okay. She took everything out and she looked really comfortable. He said that was a good sign. That means she felt comfortable with me. And pretty much that was it. Now we're going to go over to Adam and Marissa. Pretty much their day was done, but we just got the last little bits of their day. Basically, they had their talk and they were just saying, what did everybody think? They were just comparing notes, how everybody felt about them. And then it was time for them to go to the hotel. Their scenes were really short, nothing too crazy, nothing over the top, because we got a lot from them in the previous 2 episodes. And so Adam said he sleeps in the nude. Adam, is she all right with that? You're doing a lot. But then she said, hey, go big or go home. So I guess she was down with it. And they gave each other a smooch. And we don't know what happened after that. Because, honey, when you in the bed in the nude with a woman that you like, that you think is beautiful, who knows what could happen? So pretty much that's what happened with Marissa and Adam. And then our last couple is Tori and Philippe. Honey, Philippe is so comfortable. That shirt was open. Not open, it was outside of the tuxedo. You could just tell he had a good time. He's like, this is what I do every night, because I go out every night. And he just looked so comfortable. They just looked like they were just flowing right now. He was just like, they just looked like they was chilling. They looked like they were comfortable, like they had known each other. She had on her little lingerie. She looked really cute. He was very expressive, very words of affirmation, coded. And he was just telling her, like, yesterday, I didn't even know who you were. And today, I can't get you off my mind. That's the lyric from India Ari. But anyway, they seemed very, very comfortable. Again, we got a lot from them in the previous episodes. So we just tied it up with them. And they just gave each other a smooch. And then that was it. And now we are ready for the honeymoon, y'all. And what it looks like they're having fun. You're starting to see some more smooches. You're starting to see a little bit of tension with Shawn and Nikki. And so now I'm excited to see, because now the introductions are done, and now we're starting to really get into the meat and the potatoes of how these couples get along. So that's going to be really, really good. So I'm looking forward to that. And thank y'all for sticking with me. And like I said, if you're still here, definitely put an orange heart in the comment section. So check out my merch, check out my hair care products, go in the description. Definitely make sure you hit the subscribe button, because we're on our way to 2,000 and then on our way to 5,000 and then beyond. I appreciate you guys so much for being here. I really do. And until the next time, peace.